The Sicilian Dragon is not for the faint of heart. People who play know it's one of the most dynamic, aggressive openings there are. And playing that opening, you know it's checkmate or be checkmated. Today's chess game comes from one of my Twitch viewers' game, Powerismine, and he is one of the best chess blitz players that I know, as he has reached over 3,000 points online on Chess24 and approaching that on many other chess websites as well. You guys are in for a hell of a treat, and I promise you, you won't be disappointed with this amazing game. Warning for everybody who's still here. Well, this opening is super duper exciting, super duper amazing, and it's not one of those chess games that you know that I love to play. I love to play positional chess. Powerismine, he's super well known, super famous for being one of those chess players that, you know, he can make a dynamic position out of nowhere. And that's why I'm always scared to play him, because I know from nothing there will be something, and your king will be checkmated very soon. So, Sicilian Dragon just begins like this, very normal opening. So far so good. Pawn g6 is the Sicilian Dragon. As I said before, I love playing pawn a6, the Najdorf, a lot more positional. But Sicilian Dragon does have its perk, because your opponent usually has to go for some aggressive line against you. Otherwise, this bishop on g7 is very, very powerful. So knight c3 is played, bishop g7, bishop e3, knight f6, pawn f3. When you see pawn f3, you know it's the beginning of the English variation or the Yugoslav variation. So in this opening, after pawn f3, your opponent's obviously preparing for g4, h4 ideas, putting his queen on d2, trading off your amazing bishop with his subpar bishop and castling queenside. So let's see what happens. Knight c6, queen d2 as I said, castle, bishop c4, putting his bishop on a long diagonal that can pressure our king, and after knight e5 attacking the bishop, it retreats and we play pawn a6. After pawn a6, white castles, and the pawn storm is going to begin on both sides. Pawn b5, king b1, keeping the king a little bit safer, and bishop d7, making sure this knight has somewhere to go if it really needs to go somewhere. Also, it's also preparing moves like pawn b4 very soon, as this bishop is guarding this diagonal over here. Pawn h4, the pawn storm begins. Pawn a5, saying, hey, you better do something. You better capture my pawn over here, because if you don't capture this pawn, I'm just going to be playing pawn a4, and I'm going to trap your bishop over here. That's not very good, and my pawn storm is much quicker than yours. So here white obliges. He says, you know what? I'm going to take that pawn, kind of because I have to. Otherwise, you know, my position isn't very good. And so black says, you know what? Take the free pawn. I get tempos. And this is something very important for you guys to know. If you guys are ever attacking, if you guys are ever on the offensive side of your opponent, well, you always want to attack, and you always want to gain tempos. Tempo, in essence, is time. You basically make a move that basically threatens one of your opponent's pieces so they can't carry out their own plan, which is to checkmate you, so that you can carry out your plan faster, more aggressively, and just better in general. And this is the importance of why tempo is super important when people are pawn storming and when people are attacking, because one move can be all the difference from your success and from your failure. Pawn a4, white's bishop is under attack. He moves his bishop to d5. Black captures, allowing this bishop to see a little bit further out here, which is very good. And another problem here for white is that this c4 square that was defended by this bishop is no longer defended, which means there's a piece that really wants to go there very, very soon. Which is right now, actually. Knight here, saying, you know what, I get to capture your bishop on e3 if you let me, and not only that, there is actually a tactic after the opponent moved the queen to d3. Alright guys, pause your videos, make sure you guys think about it a little bit. Let's see if you guys can find the moves that Powerismine was able to find that crushed his opponent, just basically demolished his entire queen side, made his king so wide open, and made his opponent basically want to cry. Alright guys, hopefully your 5 seconds is up. Hopefully you guys paused that video. Hopefully you guys actually thought about what the right move is. In this position, do you think knight takes e3 is a good move? For me, I might have actually thought of playing that and might have actually played it in my own game, because I would think, you know what, positional chess over here, that bishop is so amazing. I have the bishop pair over here. I have to be better. And sure, that move might not be bad in this instance, but why go for a bishop pair when you can just go for a direct combination, which is bishop takes a knight over here, which allows this bishop to set up a discovery attack over here. If he's not careful, he has to capture back, otherwise he's down a piece, And now that our bishop is unleashed over here on this amazing diagonal, because this knight moved away, we can take on b2, threatening to either take the queen or the rook. The queen has to move, and of course we just take the rook here. Rook captures back, and now the important thing about this knight takes b2 move wasn't that we get to get the exchange. Sure, the exchange is good and all, but when it comes to pawn storms, when it comes to aggressive chess, what's more important than material is the king's safety and the avenues you can open up against your opponent's king. As you guys can see over here, this b file is looking kind of sketchy for our opponent. So then rook b8 is played, immediately saying, you know what, I'm going to put pressure on your knight. What you going to do about it? Your knight is pinned. Pawn c4, solidifying this knight, saying I'm going to solidify my pawn, solidify my knight. What you going to do about it? I closed up the avenue for you to attack. Queen goes to a5. He says, wait a second, you're giving me some weak dark squares for me to attack now, and that's very good for me. Rook goes to d3, saying, you know what, I'm going to guard this file. Your queen can't enter, which we were kind of threatening last move. We were kind of threatening queen over here because the knight's pinned, so it's not able to actually take us back, otherwise the rook can take the king. But after rook d3, we just take that knight. We say, you know what? You allow me to open up your king even more? Well, of course I'm going to do it. So pawn captures, queen captures, and after queen captures, the king goes to c2. And now the king is horribly exposed. Not just on this amazing diagonal. This dragon bishop has never seen better days. This queen is taking up all of these files, so this king can't go here either. And now we can bring in our final piece into the game. When we don't have enough pieces, just bring in more. So we bring in our final piece. This one's not too hard to find, so hopefully you guys found it yourself. Rook c8 check. And the white king is in quite the dilemma. Where is the king going to go? It goes to d1. It doesn't want to be on the dark square. And after it goes on the dark square, we have a nice combination here that just instantly wins the game. Again, guys, please pause your video. Please think about what you want, what you would do in this position in order to finish off your opponent. You've attacked this king for so long. His attack is nowhere to be seen. You gained so many tempos. Your opponent's so confused, so sad. How do you finish it off? And of course, you guys found queen b1 check, king d2, and queen c1 checkmate. Now, of course, if your opponent decides to block with the bishop, you can just capture it there. Queen takes c1. And again, that is checkmate. And this, again, thank you so much, Powerismine, for your game over here. This is one of the most aggressive games I've seen in my life. I would never play something as similar to this, as I'm more of a positional player. And perhaps that's why you will always be slightly, or much better than me. Now, thank you again for the game. To all of you guys who don't know Powerismine, he's one of the best players, again, that I've met. And if you guys want to see more aggressive chess games like this, I can always ask him for more chess games so we can review on the channel. Also, we can also analyze together with both me and Powerismine in the future, as he can basically tell me all his thought process and everything as well. If you enjoyed this chess video, I recommend that you press that like and subscribe button so that I can produce more of these videos more constantly and hopefully eventually every single day. If you want to learn how to basically analyze your own chess games so that you can become a good chess player like Powerismine, check out that video over there.